Hey guys, this is the Sports Hub. I'm Connor O'Gara. It's Christmas right around the corner. We're a week away from the best holiday of the year, and this is a Christmas edition of the Sports Hub. I have a Christmas wish list that I'm going to go through about things that I'd like to see happen in the Hub territory for girls and boys basketball. We also have a Sports Hub Call of the Week with a premier FKC matchup. Could be a preview of the FKC Championship. But before we get to any of that, we're going to talk 3 stars, and we're going to start with somebody that's going to become really familiar with this program, I'm sure. That's Taylor Kissinger of Minden. The freshman sensation last year has only picked up where she left off. Of course, the D1 recruit. She's going to have a lot of games like this, but she had 30 points in a win against Broken Bow last weekend and just outscored Broken Bow single-handedly. Rebecca Stewart also had 23 points in that game, but Kissinger just has a monster game after monster game for the Whippets. She's somebody that could average upwards of 30 points, so I guess this isn't really too crazy for her, but just impressive when you're able to outscore an entire team like that. Second star, Sydney Taubenheim of Amherst. This is a girl last year I said she is the straw that stirs the drink for Amherst. And probably the same is true this year. 26 points and a victory against Loomis. She had the majority of her team's points, and she really just needs to kind of be that versatile do-it-all player. She's so good defensively at getting in those passing lanes and getting steals, and also just kind of finding the holes in a defense and being able to score from anywhere on the floor. Broncos definitely need Taubenheim to be kind of the big source of offense for them going forward. Then the third star, Tristan Farley. This is a kid last year I said, look out, he's got a lot of upside. He has turned into a double-double machine. He had 18 points and 16 rebounds last week in a win against Alma. This is a kid that at 6'5", he is something that a lot of T2 teams do not have anybody capable of matching up with him. His rebounding numbers are off the charts already. He's already averaging over 14 rebounds a game. This is a kid that is just going to have double-double after double-double, and he's only a junior. They're going to get a lot out of him, a whole lot of production to come yet from Farley. It's Christmas time, which means I have a Christmas wish list, things that I'd like to see happen in the Hub territory. First thing that I want to look at, I want to see the Holdridge boys be able to use that length. They start 4 kids at 6'3" and above. That's amazing. In Class A and Class B, that's just amazing across the board. So much length on that team. A lot of tall, lengthy guys that Drake Baronic gets to use. And if they can use that in the press, they can wreak all sorts of havoc and really force teams out of what they want to do. You look at a kid like Jackson Burney, a kid that may have more upside than anybody in the Hub territory. At 6'4", he's a kid that can create a lot of havoc in the backcourt and can really allow that to translate in the transition game, can score from a lot of different places on the floor. I just think that Drake Baronic, a guy who obviously has his offensive credentials from his playing days, if he can use those guys to make things really difficult as defenders, I think that's a team that can do a lot of good this season. Second thing that I want to look at, Kearney Catholic boys. I'd like to be able to see if they can slow down in the half court, just get under control in the half court. Kearney Catholic kind of reminds me a little bit of a VCU, and that VCU loves to be able to speed teams up, get teams flustered in the backcourt with those traps, and then see whatever happens on offense happens. It's kind of, the shot selection doesn't necessarily have to be there. You can beat teams shooting 30, 35%. Obviously that's not ideal, but teams like Kearney Catholic are able to do that. And if they could just settle down in the half court, get a little bit of a half court rhythm going, get Brady Holtmeyer some looks in the post, get John Masker some looks on the outside, I think Kearney Catholic could be a really good team if they can just get under control and get a little bit of offensive momentum going. And then the Kearney High girls. I'd like to see the Kearney High girls just put 4 quarters together. Yes, they did that against Lincoln High, but they faced 3 top 10 teams to start off the season. I know that's a tough way to start the year for them, but they just haven't put those 4 quarters together. Yeah, they were up 17 points against Millard South and barely won that game. If not for a couple late free throws from Kelsey Stidham, that could have been a different outcome. Bearcats could have been looking at a 1-3 mark. And this is a team that, if you're going to be in that top 5 consideration, you want to make it to a semifinal game, you've got to be able to beat those teams at home. You've got to be able to string 4 quarters together because that's what the best teams in the state do. I'm sure that's something that Jason Boyd has preached to his team throughout this week. Obviously a really tough showdown coming up against Lincoln Northeast. And then the last thing that I want to look at, I just want to see left-handed drives. Is that so much to ask? I want to see, and if you're left-handed already, I want to see right-handed drives. I want to see kids driving with their opposite hand. It's too easy to be able to defend against somebody that only wants to use one hand. basketball is supposed to be an ambidextrous sport. If you're able to drive with your left hand, you open up so much more for the offense. I see too many kids that are just head down, dribbling with their strong hand and just going straight to the basket. Yeah, that can work sometimes. Maybe you'll get a foul call. Be able to dribble with both hands. I don't think that's too much to ask. I think a lot of coaches in the hub territory would certainly appreciate it, and they'd like to see it defended a little bit differently. So use both hands, maybe work on that offhand a little bit over the holiday break. My Sports Hub Call of the Week takes us to what could be an FKC Tournament Championship preview game. Axtell, Amherst, a couple teams that just light it up. These teams are averaging over 65 points per game. Get this, there are 7 kids in this game averaging double figures. Look at Amherst. We talked about them a lot in football, but in basketball, they still have Hadwiger, they still have Eckout, and Adelong's had a really good start to the season. And then you look at Axtell with the talent of Lundeen and Hansen, Nickel, and just guys left and right across the board that can just flat out score. I think this is going to be a really high scoring game. Both of these teams have a nice 4-0 start to start off the season, but this is a game that really could come down to who's able to make that critical basket down the stretch. A lot of young kids in this game for Amherst, but I just think Amherst has that offensive firepower this year. Yeah, you talk about the loss of a guy like Abbott, a guy who can really score, but I just think Amherst is in for a really good basketball season. This is it. Bill Giffen's team can just flat out score with anybody. I think this is a game that Amherst is able to have a little bit of an edge. Amherst wins this one 68-64. Well, there you have it. Hope you're able to get out and enjoy some basketball before Christmas break. We're excited to be getting into the better part of the schedule here. Teams are a little bit more comfortable and just better basketball is being played before the holiday tournaments. So we'll be back in a couple weeks. We'll have a break off like many of the teams in the hub territory during Christmas. So a very Merry Christmas to you all. We appreciate you watching. Happy holidays from the Sports Hub.